Hello and welcome as it's the 4th of December 2018. Another video over the 2 hour mark for today. So if you've been watching them, thank you. I think this is great information. And I feel so great because I was able to finish the spreadsheet and just putting data in. And these are the type of codes that I want to look at. For this is like the perfect prototype for what I want a choppy market to look like. For currently, we see price action at 56, and we see all the nice highs, all the nice lows. It just keeps going back and forth, and that's what you want. Back at the start of this, the price action was about, let's go into 2014. I got late 2014 here when it was consolidating, congesting between 55 and 69. So now it's at that lower end of the end of the 2014 range. I got data going back to February of that year. That's when Bitcoin was $650. So had you bought it and you bought a Bitcoin worth, then your DOGE would be worth, or DOGE would be worth about $4,000 because the price of Bitcoin for one, because you'd be worth, say if you bought it 56, your price is unchanged. But by buying low, selling high, the results are just spectacular. And I don't want to use the drawing tool there. Let me just scroll out so we can take a look at days like this. Now, if you're a trader and you're seeing a situation of a market that before that day had started was 113 and it was going to move down to 105 and see that it goes from 113 to 47, well, using the strategy I talk about where everything is worth one Bitcoin, if you had a buy order, say at around 60, and it fills, and the price comes back to 105, well, you just made per Bitcoin balance well more than a half a Bitcoin right there. Guaranteed guaranteed profit based on how it works. And if it can go deeper when they come, then that is just magnificent type of gains. And these things happen now and again. Now on this chart, you really don't see too much of it. There's one right here. I'm looking for one in 2014 that's really, really deep for both the high and the sale. Because I noticed a few on the page I downloaded this, Crypto Compare. But what's going to happen in here if, say, for example, you had 144 and you had a buy order in for like 40? Now you are going to be able to buy like a whole bunch worth. Almost a Bitcoin worth, we'll say. Close to a Bitcoin worth, you buy at like 40. And then the price is at like 145. So that's triple. So there's like 3 Bitcoin right there. So I did see this one. I didn't see the sale one on here, but maybe that happened. I got from February 2014. So I did recognize one of them that came in pretty good. Because I'm going to start back when the price was 177. Wow. So the market is down this much and you're profiting. Fantastic. Let's bring the spreadsheet up. From that time, if you had one Bitcoin that you start with, you sell. What I got here, 1.25 sell 1. I got sell 2 at 2. I got buy 1 at 0.8. I got buy 2 at 0.5. Meaning that when the price action goes up, so your portfolio is worth 1.25 Bitcoin. You sell it so that it is worth 1. So you would essentially sell a quarter of a Bitcoin worth of the DOGE. And then at that point on, so say for example you're at 100. If it goes to 125, it would sell. Then from that point on 2x, if it goes from 125 to 250, you're going to sell again. And with the buy, if it goes from 100 down to 80, you're going to buy. And then if it goes from 80 down to 40, you're going to buy again. These would be orders you would automatically put in Every single time you make a new trade, a computer can automatically tell you where to put it in. You put it in and all that type of stuff. You would end up starting with 1 Bitcoin worth. So therefore, with the price action, you would have bought like 5 or about 5 million of this. But you would have bought 76.7 million, costing about 30.5 Bitcoin for an average price of 40 Satoshi. And when we look at this on the sell side, a sell average of 61 for 45 Bitcoin. So that's this number subtracted. Gain 15 Bitcoin. So like a 16 times gain amongst making these kinds of trades. That is just purely fantastic to be able to have those kinds of results. Okay. So then let me just check here. I mean, the price is, what was the close on here? And that looks like 169 with the EO6. So I already know that scientifically anyway. Okay, so let's look at this for different numbers because I don't want to stall this. My videos are always way too long. So let's reduce these numbers a little bit. So we had 15. I'm just going to write the number down somewhere to see. So at, say, 125 base, it was 15. Well, what happens if we increase this number to, say, 1 point... And by the way, just to recognize why I'm doing 80 and 125, if a market goes from 100 to 125, that's a gain of 25%. And if it goes from 125 down to 100... well, then you'd be losing about 80. It would be 80%. So that's the equivalency of such. So at 1.5, which is what we're going to do next, the number is going to change and it's going to be higher than 15. Well, not really. No, it's about the same. We'll keep that number at 2. So we'll definitely keep this at a half. So now the equivalency is like 6, 7 on this. And now it goes up to 18.69. So selling at a higher level totally was the better play amongst this. I'm going to round that to 19. Let's go higher again. Let's do 2x. So we'll put 2 in here. And we've already seen that go to 20. Let's put this at a half. And that's at 25. And a half even. Just fantastic results. And look at the stats here, statistically. You have a sell average of 31, or buy average of 31 rather, and a sell average of 75. And to gain over 25 times on something that has went down, to me, is just phenomenal results to be able to do such. So if you were the wise guy to do it back then, again, put 1 Bitcoin in, spend $650. Technically, you would have had more because you would have needed more base currency, and definitely to those buys that would have happened from the fall in the 100. But you would have seen your portfolio grow exponentially. That the only thing I would be changing is throughout time, I'd go, okay, let's make it worth 1.5 Bitcoin. Let's make it worth 2 Bitcoin. Let's make it worth 3 Bitcoin. And then this number would be at like 30, 40, 50. That would be about the only thing, especially, let's go back to the chart. When you have situations, let's just move this up and put this into a weekly chart. Especially when you see them coming down. So, for example, say after this gain in here, 125, you see it down to like, even if it's down to 50, let alone even cheaper, you're like, you know what? I think this is a good time to increase the size of my wagers. Up here, good gains. Maybe you didn't do it last time, or maybe even did it last time and you want to do it again. It starts to go down. Especially if you were like, okay, my goodness, I mean, I think it can reach like say going down in here. I think you can reach the 15 number again, and I could even put a safe bet at 40. Either way, 15, you would just strike gold by, say you were playing 1 Bitcoin going up here. 2 Bitcoin going up here, 3 Bitcoin going up here, and maybe even 4 Bitcoin going up here, because of the fact that you were able to, within those gains, reinvest them, as these are linear moves. For you to lose what you would have if you were at 25 Bitcoin gain, as I showed, I mean, this thing would have to be worth well less than 1 Satoshi. That's how, or pretty much near there. That's how bad it would have to get. Okay, so then let's move back onto the spreadsheet again. And let's talk about this sell average a little bit, because technically speaking, if you are always buying only when the market's double and selling when it gets cut in half, that means you'd be buying at 50, selling at 100, buying at 50, selling at 100 over and over and over again. Or buying at 20, selling at 40, selling at 80, buying at 40, all that type of stuff. Your buy and sell average would pretty much be a 2x move. The sell would be twice the number as the buy. But this is around 2.5x. Almost. Why would that be the case? Is the program not correct? No, it is correct. Because you're going to have a situation. Say, for example, today, you're going to bed, night of the night. You only do this once per night, 11 o'clock, and you see, okay, nothing going on here. Let's wait till tomorrow. You log in, and then you see that you had a buy and a sell order on the same day. When that happens, then you're going to have a nice small gain, which will give you an extra free sale. And because of such, that's when those spots happen. Now, for that to actually go on this day with this, with the markets the way they are in some of those days, they can happen. And that's exactly why the difference would be like such. And we're going to see the same thing again when we look at it very short term, because we've seen the long term results. Now let's move it into the short term. So we've had the 1.25 here. And I'm going to show you something really big by having these types of orders in here. And we'll talk, let's just even show how big it is when you put insane orders, because, well, here we go. Let's just do it now. Let's put an insanely small. So we're going to do like 115 buy, or sell rather. Number goes down to 20. And let's just do, and let's even bring this down for now to 1.5. It's going to go down again, down to 17. So the buy may be 0.86. And the sell may be 6.5 over here. So now we're down to 9. 9. I'm going to get that number even lower, but not now. I'm going to make it higher. Then I'm going to make it go lower. If I put the sell 2 target up to 2, it would go up to 11. And let's bring this down to half. It goes up to 13. So what's happened is I'm looking to sell at larger gains, and they're actually hitting. So what happens if I go 3? Forgot what the last number was. So it went up big, 13 to 17, 0.4 to 21, 4x, 25. If a market has a 4x gain for you and it actually hits, that means you basically gained about 3 Bitcoin in one play. Because if you were at 20 and it goes up to 80, well, you can see why that can work so magnificent amongst the trade. So 25, let's bring this up to, let's even bring this down to say 0.33. It goes up a bit. Let's bring this up to 5 to 29, and let's just keep moving this number up to 33. Oh, down to 31. How about 10? 40. 25. Oh, down to 16. 100. 16. 25,000. It's just going to stay there because that was about as high as it got. And when we look at this on, if you don't get those orders and you play this game with just, let's just go like this, 1.35 down to 16, and then put this one at, say, 0.7 down to 8. So you're still getting good gains. Now let's go very, very short term. Not extremely short term because the rake is 0.2%. And put our sell target at, say, 4%. Down to 8. Which means we're going to go about 961, we'll say here. Down to 7.8. Let's say we only go 1.1 here. 7.5. And we'll go 902 here. 6.8. I thought it was a little lower than that, but you know what? When you keep plugging away at the gains, you keep plugging away at the gains. Buy average is 41, sell average is 46. You would have bought in, like, I mean, the trade volume is just monstrous. That's what's going to get you to at least having still better than a 7x gain. And then if you want to get technical on this, it probably would be greater than 10 or 9 or some sort of nice higher number. And the reason for such is because throughout the day, you're going to get maybe 5 sell orders, and or maybe you might get, I don't know, 20 sell orders and 7 buy orders or 9 buy orders, where just through this, you're only going to get a couple. Now, when you look at this, you're talking about a differential of 4 points, 4%. So that's what your differential should be here, but it's not. There's 5. And I think I want to show this a little bit higher now. Let's do 108 here. And let's do 0.923 here. So now we're talking about under a 10% differential, gaining better than 6 2/3. 7 2/3 rather. And 7 points on this is almost 20%. So like about a 17% differential on your buy low and high. And I guess for this example, I can put another decimal spot in because it's only got, just see, 418. So 70 basis points on 418. Yeah, you're looking at about 18%. It's supposed to be about 8% because of that's what these numbers represent. The reason why it's so high is because at the end of the day, when a market goes from 50 to 100 and you only got a couple of those sell orders, well, now you can scrape away at some decent gains. And that's an interesting thing because I stated before that technically speaking, if you were day trading all the time, you would profit more via that of simply just buying and selling all day. But you're going to do a lot better selling, say the market's at 100 Satoshi. And I know it didn't go as high as I say it will, but we'll just, for hypothetically purposes, say that it does. So you have it at 100, then it goes to 108, and we would get a sell order. And then it goes up 10%, so it goes up to 119. You get another sell order, and that's it. But when the market closes at 210 or 165, then you're going to have a good gain. That play will just be phenomenal. And same thing on the polar opposite if it goes down the same way as well, too. But within this, when you're trading all the time, you're going to have a much worse sell average when you're just selling well, basically you're selling at 100, 108, 117, 126, 135, 100. You're going to sell average a lot lower. But I still think long term you would manage to do a little bit better given those two factors in play. All right, again, I'm going to ask what I'm probably going to do over the next several days is just go over like 1 or 2 at a time per video. And in this coin, it really did show that playing for long-term gains was better. And that makes sense when you have the market movement like we see when you get very big U or the reverse U and reverse V shaped formations in which it's shown. So thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.